We also discussed the Ward 8 candidate forum. This is going to take place today. Vice President Bill Cornell stated that he asked the director of the Wellness Center if it was permissible to host the candidate forum at the center. And the permission was given. So as you can see, we're hosting our forum today. President Turner introduced the facilitator of the Community Economic Development CE Award. Salim outlined the purpose of the Ward 8 CED, which is to revitalize communities, develop and rehabilitate affordable housing, sustainability, build wealth, encourage entrepreneurship, and create jobs. I also updated the progress of the Ward 8 CED at the next AARP meeting. We have announcements followed by closing prayer by Teresa Kelly Chaplain, and the meeting was adjourned at 1:16 p.m. Submitted by King Shepherd, Secretary. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. Can I get a motion to accept the meeting as read? I move that we accept the minutes as read. It's been properly moved. Can I get a second? Okay, it's been properly moved to second and we accept the meeting as read. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we accept the meeting. We are again, we're doing having a abbreviated meeting, and because we were having the candidates forum, and before we go on, we have a special guest here today. We have our regular guests, you, our members, who are our very special guests. Also, we as the AARP chapter is a guest in your building, and we appreciate you all us to have our meeting. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna need them all. Oh.
Thank you. We appreciate that you allow us to have our meetings in your building. Again, we would like to ask you to come to our meetings regularly. We have our meeting the second Wednesday of every month from 12 until 2. It's usually why we're here. So go ahead and come to lunch, have your lunch, or come a little early, have your lunch, and then come back to our meetings. We usually have our meetings in the rear meeting area. Again, I would like to thank our regular guest, Mr. Lewis Davis. Would you like to say anything? Who's our executive director of the AARP DC?
Thank you, Mr. President, ABC chapter. Good afternoon, everyone. Lewis Davis Jr. here. Ronald Hampton is in the room too. He's our volunteer state president. Here's Ronald. In mailboxes, beginning Thursday of next week, 4,800 mailboxes will receive our AARP voters guide. This guide is packed with information. We scan a QR code, and we have one here for everyone here, but you also get one if you're on a registry in your mailbox next week. It is a list for all the voting centers, election day, special dates, early voting, and responses from the candidates who sent in responses to 4 questions. The AARP got from surveys, when we survey our members in the District of Columbia, telling us what things they care most about. And this is a district-wide survey, so it included residents of Ward 8, obviously. When you scan this QR code, it'll take you to that voter guide where all this information is located. If you see that a candidate did not respond, that candidate will be listed as having not responded, which means what it says, that candidate did not respond. The questionnaire invitation went to every candidate who was on the DCBOE ballot as of June 5th. And the information went by email to, as the candidates know, the individual who they list with DCBOE as their point of contact. That's how we do it. That's how we've done it. And the results are in. So I invite you to learn where and how to vote early voting, mail voting, where the voting locations are, all of that is inside the voter guide. Thank you so much. Oh, and let me answer a question that was put to me earlier. AARP is nonpartisan. We do not, never have, never will contribute to any candidate. We don't have a PAC, locally or nationally.
Okay, Ron Hampton, would you like to say anything, Ron?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me just say good afternoon to everyone. Glad to be here to support the Charles and the Congress Heights chapter, and it's this election that's coming up next month is very important for Ward 8, and so we're here and supportive of it. Look forward to continue to work with the Congress Heights chapter. Thank
you. Thank you, Ron. We are going to forego the rest of the meetings. We're going to morph right, for time's sake, we're going to morph right into the candidates forum. So I will call the meeting, adjourn the meeting of the AARP Congress Heights chapter. And I would like to thank you for attending the Congress Heights Wellness Center's candidates forum. We sent invitations were sent out to all of the candidates, and the ones that you see above in front of you are the ones that responded with their presence. I would like to thank Mr. Ritchie, who I appreciate as a person to get things done. And when the idea of the candidates forum came up, he stepped in and offered his services, offered his place. And this is happening due to his assistance and him stepping up. I'd like to thank him, and I'd like to thank the staff that helped make this possible. So, you hear this a lot, and this time I get to say it, and it really means something. I'm going to introduce a person that needs no introduction. So I don't have to go into a whole long list of what her background is and what she's accomplished and how much she means to the community. I'll just go on and say thank you to the lady who has agreed to moderate this event for us, Ms. Denise Rolark. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How's everyone? Well, I know you're doing fine because you're eating. And that's a good way to kind of keep that energy going. And it's a pleasure to be here with you and to moderate this forum at what will soon be my home, and that is the Senior Wellness Center. I definitely look forward to joining you all, especially when I can call myself retired. I would just like, before I get started, I just want to say that I'm honored to serve as your moderator at today's Ward 8 Council Candidates Forums, proudly sponsored by AARP. I want to make sure it's not sponsored. This is not sponsored by AARP. This is sponsored by the Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center. Thank you, candidates and Mr. President and Mr. Lewis. And it's a pleasure to do it here at the Ward 8 Senior Wellness Center. I want to thank you all for joining us, especially our seniors whose voices, wisdom, and lived experience are critical to shaping the future of this community. We're here today to hear directly from the candidates seeking to represent Ward 8 on the DC City Council. This is your opportunity to learn where they stand on the issues that matter most to you, especially those affecting our senior community, from affordable housing and caregiving, support to access to healthcare, transportation, and economic security. Each candidate will have time to share their vision, respond to questions, and speak directly to your concerns. Before we welcome the candidates, I just want to ask two questions. Number one, how many of you all know when the election, what election day is?
July 15th.
Okay, anybody want to shout out a date?
July 15th.
July 15th, okay. And how many of you all plan to vote on July 15th? I don't see some hands back there, maybe because they're holding forks, but you can raise the forks, that's okay. How many of you all plan to vote on July 15th? All right, for those whose hands weren't raised, I want you all who raised your hands to make sure you help them to get to the polls if they don't early vote on July 15th. This is a critical election for Ward 8. And secondly, I always like to ask, how many in this room are undecided? As a matter of fact, how many of you all don't know who you're going to vote for on July 15th? You're still trying to learn more. Fantastic. Candidates, saw those hands. All right. Sometimes we end up speaking to our own people. It's good to speak to some folks who don't know what they plan to do. And hopefully your ears are open and your mind is open and you got questions. So I want to thank you for that. I am not going to introduce the candidates. I know the three of them. I will say there are four candidates on the ballot. One of those candidates is not here with us today, but there are four candidates on the ballot. Three of them are here with us today. We also have, which is not a little unusual for forums, but we have, I believe, a write-in candidate. Is that correct? Okay. Which means that, what is your name? Mary Roach is running as a write-in candidate, which means that when you vote on the 15th, her name will not be on the ballot. Which means that if you leave here today and you want to support Ms. Roach, you're going to have to write her name in. Got that? I'm not telling you all anything you don't know because you all experienced voters, so I don't need to share that with you, but I thought it was important to say. So normally at these forums, you know, the candidates know we give you 1 minute to do this and 30 seconds to do that. We're not doing that today, okay? However, I would ask that you be respectful of time because I don't want you to spend the whole hour talking about yourself. So I might have to interrupt you, but I'm gonna give you a couple minutes, right? To just, and we do have a mic, right? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna start from the left with Mr. Adofo. And I would like each candidate to tell us, to introduce yourself and to give us an opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all feeling?
And I don't mind if you all stand today. You can stand, you can walk, you can.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everybody. My name is Salim Adofo. I'm the chair of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 8C, and I'm also a member of this AARP chapter. So I want to say thank you for coming out, and thank you to everybody who helped put this together. And let's give all of our food servers in the back a round of applause for all the hard work that they do. I am campaigning to be the next council member here in Ward 8 for the Council of the District of Columbia, and I'm seeking to get your vote. I am a member of Union Temple Baptist Church, a graduate of the University of the District of Columbia, and I'm a U.S. Army veteran. Firebirds, shout out to the Firebirds. And I'm someone who, as many of you all probably do, I was raised by my grandparents, and I got a chance to learn a lot of good values. And I got a chance to learn what my grandmother just said, good common sense. And those are some of the things that I seek to bring into the office. I want us to be able to have an opportunity to work together and to learn more about each other and find a way that we can address some of the issues in the community, such as the violence in this community, and ways that we can get our young people engaged and involved in something constructive. Because I know a lot of you all are trying to experience the twilight of your life, and you want to be able to do that in peace. And so that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart, and I look forward to working with you all as your next council member as we create the change that you all want to see. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Roach. How are you? How's everybody doing? Some of them may know me by the food program that we do down in South Capitol and First Street. Anybody here? Right on, I know there's one person, right? But we give out free food. I came here 20 years ago, 20 years and 3 months ago, because somebody from my church was saying nobody was feeding the children in the Wingate and Garden Apartments. Well, my husband and I were both Army strong. He's retired. I only did 8 years. But I went on and got my doctor of pharmacy, my master's, and we've made some heavy impacts in educating the children. We went from 20 years ago in the gated community of Wingate and Garden Apartments, and we moved. We moved from there to the Bald Eagle Recreation Center. Then they allowed us to get all the different recreation centers in Ward 8. Then now the mayor allowed us to have the park on South Capitol and First Street, where we're feeding it. We had it going for 4 days a week. Winter, spring, summer, whatever. We were out there. Even if the park was iced up, we stood on the street and still gave out food. We're not going anywhere. We are ones that fight the good fight, because that's what God has told us to go. Fight the good fight of faith. Stay strong. We have to help one another. It's about unity in the community. Love your neighbor. That's one thing we push. Neighbors loving neighbors. We ask other people, come and get food, not just for yourself, but your neighbor. You love on your neighbor will take care of you. So, I'll tell them, hey, your car might be broken down in front of your house, and you don't even have to go tell your neighbor. They come get in their equipment together to fix your car because you are looking out for your neighbors. We believe in that. Love changes everything. Love stands against everything. That's what God has told us. And so that's what we believe. I have more, because as a doctor of pharmacy.
Ms. Roach, I'm sorry.
You're
Mr.
okay.
Adofo, I was gonna let the first person who spoke give the time. Mr. Adofo got his in 1 minute. I've given you 2. So we're gonna move on to Ms. Bunn.
Good afternoon, family. Good afternoon, family. I am Sheila Bunn, a daughter of Ward 8. I'm number 3 on the ballot, and I'm standing before you asking for your support and your vote by or on or before July 15th to be your next Ward 8 council member. I was born and raised right here in Ward 8, in Congress Heights. I grew up in the Bunn building on MLK Avenue. I went to what was Assumption Catholic School for middle school and elementary school. And I currently live in Bellevue, where I'm raising my 15-year-old daughter. And I'm a proud member of this AARP chapter. I haven't hit the age yet, but proud to be a part of this chapter and hang out with my beautiful seniors. I'm running to be your next Ward 8 council member because I love this board, and I believe that my 30 years of public service delivering results on behalf of Ward 8 and this city makes me the best candidate to serve you on day one. I spent the first 16 years of my career on Capitol Hill working with our warrior on the Hill, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, delivering things like DC Tag, where our young students can go to public colleges and universities across this country at in-state rates. I spent 4 years in the mayor's office working for former councilmember Vincent T. Gray, working on the St. Elizabeth East redevelopment, where we now have housing, businesses. We also have the new hospital in the Care First Arena. And I just left the DC Council, building relationships, working on citywide initiatives for the last 8 years. And I also spent time at the Office of the People's Council, making sure that our residents right here in Ward 8 and across the city have fair and affordable housing. I want to be your next council member to make sure that our seniors, who are the backbone of our community, can age in place and do so safely, that you have safe and affordable housing, that we're doing things to make sure that you're not driven out of the city that you built by high property taxes, making sure that your homes are safe, making sure that we have beautiful facilities like the Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center. I'm a board member of Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative, as well as Martha's Table, where I've raised thousands of dollars, making sure that we are investing in our families, in our seniors, and in our young people. When you elect me on July 15th, I'm promising that I'm going to step up and fight for you. That is what my father, the late Bunn, taught me to do, to be an advocate for my community And that's exactly what I plan to do. Sheila Bunn, number 3 on your ballot. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's do that again. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah. My name is Mike Austin. I'm running to be the next Ward 8 councilman. Ward 8 definitely needs new councilman, ladies and gentlemen. We need somebody who will fight. Today I'll talk about some of my experience. I'm an attorney. I've been an ANC chair. I live on Alabama Avenue. I'm a son of this community, 4th generation Washingtonian. I serve on several boards in this community, serve on Ward 8. But the real reason I'm in this fight is to bring the community back to Ward 8. We have to make sure that we're restoring the power back to our people, make sure that we're helping our seniors age in place. We have to make sure that we're fighting down within the council members to ensure we're getting an adequate share of the budget, an equitable share of the budget. I talk a lot about the budget, but the budget really does affect our lives. It affects how we have safe transportation options for each of you, that we're building affordable senior homes in Ward 8, and we're making sure we have access to technology, that our seniors can age in place, that we can make your quality of life what it needs to be because you're a tax-paying resident of the District of Columbia. We have a $21 billion budget here in DC, and we need our fair share here in Ward 8. It is time that we fight, and we have somebody who represents you well. Somebody who sits down, understands the issues, and makes sure we convey that to the other council members. The rest of the city, they have strong council members. They have somebody, they have plenty of senior citizens. They have plenty of senior options. We have a ton of issues we have to fight for. So I certainly want to earn your vote on July 15th. Again, my name is Mike Austin, number 2 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. And I was reminded to make sure that I remind you all that July 15th is the last day you can vote. Early voting begins on, anybody know?
July 11th.
You all can't vote. I mean, in this, I'm sorry. No, you can't vote. July 11th is the first day you can vote. That's when early voting begins. So the sooner you get it done, you got it done. All right. I'm getting a lot of instructions here. And that the Board of Elections is beginning to mail out ballots. Make sure that you look for your ballots. And hopefully, well, I won't go any further than that, but the ballots are being mailed out. You can begin voting as soon as you get your ballot. It's July 11th, and July 15th is the last day. That is election day. Okay, you clear?
Okay, let me give some key dates real quick. The party started sending out ballots. We started back with June the 9th. So ballots are, if you haven't got to you already, they're in the mail. June the 24th is the last day to register. If you want to change your registration, if you want to register, if you haven't been registered, June the 20th is the last day to do that. Although there is same day registration, keep that in mind. From July 11th to July the 14th, there's early voting. They have early voting centers. If you want to do, and between June the 15th, which is special election day. Now, if you're interested, after this is going on, I will get up and give you the list of where the early voting centers are and any other information they need.
It's all here behind this QR code. You scan this QR code, all this information and more will come right to your phone.
Everybody.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions about that before? Any questions about that now? Let me ask if anybody has any questions about that. Okay, all right, let's proceed. So, Mrs. Candidate Bunn mentioned wanting to ensure that residents, seniors, are able to age in place. I'm going to start with her and ask her, what does that mean to her? And what, as a DC council member representing Ward 8, what will she do to ensure that? And I want each of you all to respond.
Thank you for that question. So aging in place for me means if you're a homeowner, being able to stay inside the home that you purchased, making sure that the city, as your next council member, that we are providing property tax relief. We know that most of our seniors who own their homes They don't have a mortgage necessarily, but it might be paying property taxes. So making sure that our seniors are aware of tax relief programs that are here in the district, but also introducing legislation because our seniors that are aged between 65 and 75, there is no property tax relief. So if you're up to 65, there's property tax relief. If you're above 75, there's tax relief as well. But making sure that our seniors between 65 and 75 receive that property tax relief. It also means that being safe inside your home. So if you need a chair lift, if you need a window fix or some type of, or something else fixed in your home, making sure that DACO's Safe at Home program is fully funded so that we can ensure that you're safe in your homes. It also means, I've heard as I've traveled across Ward 8, possibly building senior housing villages. The United Medical Center site, which is now closed down, that is prime opportunity for the district to build other amenities for our ward, a mixed use development possibly for Roach, and also possibly for senior housing. We know that some of our seniors don't necessarily want to spend their time in an apartment, but if you want to be in a one-level home. So looking at avenues like that to make sure that our seniors can stay safely in their home, that they have facilities like this to come and have wonderful activities, to have recreational activities. So that's what aging in place safely for me looks like. Mr. Austin?
Yes, so aging in place for our seniors is a pillar of this campaign and something I'll be squarely focused on when we win on July 15th. So to me, aging in place means ensuring that our residents are not mass displaced. Many of you know people who have been pushed out to surrounding jurisdictions like Maryland and Virginia because the city is so expensive. And we have to fight against that to make sure that those who have helped build Ward 8 to be what it is today are able to stay and enjoy the better times that are on the horizon. So I want to make sure that we're keeping our people in place first and foremost in Ward 8. So our Ward 8 seniors are able to live and thrive here. So to me, that means implementing the displacement prevention bill that I worked on when I worked at the city council for the former councilman Bill Ruby Bay. And what that does is protect our taxes and our rents for those who rent from skyrocketing, because we will have projects that will force taxes to go through the roof. And sometimes our property tax roof does not go far enough. There are gaps and loopholes that still force taxes to go up. As for those who are on a fixed income, they can't afford that hike to come to their taxes. So make sure we're putting that in using the Schedule H tax credit to ensure that we're not pushing our seniors out of their homes. Next, I want to make sure we're finding opportunities so that for those who may be retired, they may have some other opportunities to work part-time just to stay busy, to keep their mind active, right? So we can have some opportunities for them because they want to do other things. And so aging in place may also be keeping some money coming into your pocket as well. So I want to find some opportunities to make sure that we're keeping our seniors in their homes. And then finally, yes, as Bunn said, I want to make sure that we're working through our government's programs to keep the chairlifts in place, to make sure that we're doing home repairs, and to make sure that we're able to keep you in place, that you can age in place safe.
Mr. Adofo, I have the same question for you, but so that we won't echo each other, is there anything you would want to add to this that the other candidates have not addressed?
Yes, ma'am. Something that I've seen quite frequently and recently is making sure that our seniors are protected legally. So there's the Council for the Elderly, making sure that our seniors are aware of the scams and the frauds that take place, whether it be social media, through email, and making sure to work with organizations such as AARP to make sure that we are educated about those, as well as sometimes we have family members who don't always do the right thing, take advantage of the older people in their family. So we got to make sure that that information is there and we're getting folks the services that they need, as well as power of attorneys. We don't want people to be able to pass away and they not have the legal documentation that's necessary so that they can transition and have their family not be in chaos and fighting over grandma stuff. So all of those things to me are very important. I want to make sure that those are out there.
Ms. Roach?
Well, housing was covered and it was done excellently because I totally agree. Even looking at multifamily housing, because some of us seniors have our grandchildren, so we need places where we can have safe places for us and our children. Even the violence has been covered, even looking at connecting with authorities, with police and everything, so that we have a safer community. There was one more area that I was looking at, wealth building. It's very important to build wealth. I've been practicing it recently. With $5, $10, $20, you can put a little away a month so that you can not get rich king, but one of those where you have money in certain stocks that will help you to have wealth, so that if something happens, you're out of a job or whatever, then you have money set aside that will continually pay you every year, months and years. And so I think that's very important, because we've been kept out of that wealth for years. They told us, oh, you're gonna need $20,000 and $30,000. No, $5, $10, $20 a month. We'll do it.
Ms. Roach, don't sit down.
Oh.
I'm going to start with you, because you mentioned the fact that many seniors are caregivers. They're caring for their grandchildren. Some are still caring for their parents. And so what would you do to support unpaid family caregivers, the seniors, in providing for some respite care or financial assistance?
Well, we need a multifaceted way of doing it. One is unity, unifying. Also, getting funds in for them, for helping their kids, being caregivers. This is very important. Others are doing it. We need to also do it. So I would change policies, get involved with that, so that they would have the funding for it.
Is there any particular policy that you would change?
Basically, right now, I don't have a policy that I'm thinking about, but I would look at others and how they've been handling it, because it seems like everybody else has a handle on it. Montgomery County has a handle on it, so I would go in and
We do
ask
have a policy.
and benchmark.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna go to you, Mr. Austin. Do you have any thoughts about that? What you as a council member can do to support caregivers?
So we need to establish a caregiver assistance fund for those who are taking care of their children or grandchildren rather, and for those who are taking care of maybe their parents. And so I have a great grandmother, and God willing, she's turned 102 recently, and so we provide her assistance on a regular basis. And so when I'm not campaigning right now, I'm making sure that she has food and that she is have her clothes washed. She also has a home health aide that only goes so far. And so for those of us who are assisting with our grandparents or great grandparents, and they can't afford it, right? And I don't even think it should be limited to those who want the assistance or need the assistance, right? And so it's not just a blanket, but we're affording assistance to those who are assisting their grandparents, great grandparents, and who are also taking care of their grandchildren, because that is a hassle. I have a 2-year-old, and she runs me crazy. And so I know if I was twice my age, I don't know if I'd be able to keep up. And so I want to make sure that we are providing assistance to our grandparents who are taking care of their young children or grandchildren.
Mr. Austin, I'm gonna follow up with that. When you say assistance,
Yeah, what is that look like? What is that?
We got, I think some, I don't know. Can the folks who are watching online, can you please mute yourself? Because you're coming across. Please mute. Mr. Austin, again, what specifically and briefly would you recommend or would you promote as a councilor? What kind of legislation would you put? Specifically in amounts?
An amount. So I think in the caregiver assistance fund, we'll pilot it out with probably $500,000. And so with that, we'll provide, assistance in the form of, direct cash benefits. And also we can make sure that we're essentially doing it as a tax rebate at the end of the year so that you get those funds returned to you. And I think we should have some kind of technical assistance because there may be ways that you need some additional training or support to reduce your bills and also maybe transportation assistance as well. If you're taking your grandchildren to and from school, to make sure that they have assistance there. And for those who will take care of their grandparents or their parents rather, we also need to make sure that they have that assistance with access to home health aides and all of the slew of resources that we have here in the district. So I think creating the assistance fund, but also making sure that we have technical assistance as well would be really beneficial.
Mr. Adofo, what about you? What have you, what is your plan as it relates to
So
caregivers?
currently we have the grandparents and caregiver assistance fund that was mentioned. And I think that this is a good way for us to obviously help fund those things. But I think that we can find funding for that through some of the properties that are abandoned and blighted and that aren't being taken care of. Those folks get fined very often, but they're not being paid. So then we would need to put the pressure on the Office of the Attorney General to find those folks and to tell them they can't do business in the district unless they pay their fines. And that's one way that we can start to fund these programs. With the budget cuts that's coming, we're going to have to be creative in how we find that funding. So I think that's one way to fund.
Ms. Bunn, I'm gonna go to you now.
Thank you for that question. Given the district's dire financial straits right now, finding funding might be difficult within the district's budget, but I think it provides an opportunity for us to look at nonprofit, outside, non-government agencies for partnership. Particularly looking at AmeriCorps Seniors Program. It's a federally funded program that funds our foster grandparent program. So looking at an expansion of that, private-public partnership to fund that type of program, because it is a desperate need for our seniors who are taking care of their grandchildren, for our seniors who sometimes have to take care of their own aging parents. So looking outside of the district's budget to see how we can fund such a program, but I would start with AmeriCorps Seniors Program, which funds our foster grandparent program, and looking at an expansion to include our seniors as a way to fund that type of site.
Ms. Roach?
I agree with what you said. Also looking at different proposals. I write proposals. I have a team of proposal writers. And it's very important that we look in getting funding outside of DC government and going into other avenues for proposals, for grants, money that can come in and help us with assistance and different strategies.
Thank you. Again, for those who are watching online, if you would please mute yourself because you're coming across. So thank you. Please mute yourself. I want to go back to housing issue and aging in place. I think a couple of you all respond. Somebody mentioned about expanding access or improving the home modification programs or repair assistance. A lot of seniors are living in homes where they do need that assistance. And I don't know who's watching to make sure, because a lot of times for pride and other reasons, we don't reach out for help. And our homes are falling apart around us. What would you do to improve the existing program or modify a program to make sure that seniors who want to age in place can age in place in a place that's worth living in, if you know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Mr. Austin.
The current program has a lot of room for expansion. It only goes but so far, and that's because it's a government program that's been around for I think 8 years or so. So we need to make sure we're doing more extensive home repairs. So I have an older home, and before this campaign really started, it took me, I was a weekend warrior trying to fix my home. So I can only imagine if I was twice the age, how much work it would be to try to keep up with that. So for many of our seniors, we need to make sure that we're doing more than just smoke detectors and very basic repairs, but being able to afford them assistance with maybe some more substantial work. So they're understanding, upgrading some of their HVAC systems or electrical repair, or making sure that they have adequate, homes to live in. Because right now, folks, we have a lot of our seniors who live in squalor. They are not living in stable conditions, and they are renting, or they are, they own the home and they haven't been repaired in 30 plus years. And so we have to also make sure for those who are renting that we're holding those landlords responsible for providing subpar conditions for our residents. But for those who own the homes, then we need to also expand the program and work with our nonprofit partners, but also to expand the government program we have now so that they can get up and down the stairs, that we are doing, some more substantial renovations to their homes.
I'll go back down this way, Ms. Bunn.
So in addition to making sure that the Safe at Home program is funded appropriately, again, looking at outside partnerships. Does anybody remember the Christmas in April program?
Yes.
All right, great program where thousands of homes with the use of volunteers have been rehabilitated or rebuilt. So having our own program here in the District of Columbia, working with our community neighbors. We have tons of handymen, tons of electricians, tons of tradespeople in our community. So like ServDC, building a list of residents who have those capabilities. And then when we have seniors that are in need of home repairs, deploying those volunteers out to those homes. You can't always rely on the government because there would never be enough funding for the Safe at Home program to fix every senior's home. So I want to rely on our community members who have those skills to serve as those volunteers to fix up our seniors' homes. And also making sure that our seniors are aware of the program. Oftentimes, our residents don't know about the programming that the district government has. So having forums in town halls like this, ensuring that you know about tax relief, ensuring that you know about ways to make your home safer, ensuring that you know about activities that are happening in our communities. But I really would want to make sure that we are utilizing the wealth of skill in our very neighborhoods to assist our seniors with issues like that.
We recently we're working on a project, a grant that is going to be about $2 million. And what it does is, well, I'm a doctor of pharmacy out of Johns Hopkins NIH, and so I do the healthcare piece. We are putting healthcare providers together to go into the homes based on one person that a couple of people that we are starting with, where we go in and look at everything they have. Also, not just we look at the health, the wellness. We do health advocacy for a few people just to make sure that we are streamlining the service so that what we're looking at is since COVID, everybody has become isolated. And so they may be sitting in their home and they're suffering with things like diabetes and other health problems, and they're not getting their homes fixed. But we're going in and we're getting the healthcare people, since I have a contact with the universities, with John Howard University and George Washington and Trinity University. We are pulling healthcare providers and also other people to come in and fix up the homes, but also to feed them, bring food, and so that they're not feeling so alone.
Thank you, Mr. Adofo.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, almost forgot what it was myself. What would you, many seniors are not living in great conditions. And so what would you do to improve or expand on the home modification programs or care assistance to ensure that more seniors have the opportunity to get the support that they need to make their home, to age in place?
Good question. So as a commissioner, one of the things that I currently do is we walk the neighborhood, we do inspections, and we look at some of the apartment buildings and apartments that are in place right now. And many of them are not ADA compliant. So one of the things I would want to do is work with the Department of Buildings to make sure that our places are becoming ADA compliant, and that new ones that are being built make enough ADA compliant units for our seniors. So that way we don't have the issue to begin with if the new ones can be built and they make enough that are already ADA compliant, and also look at the ones who are out of compliance and making sure that they get on board. And as far as the program goes, we have to keep doing the outreach and engagement to make sure that this information is spread out. And then I would want to make sure that during oversight season, we're looking at how this program is going and finding the areas that we can improve upon. From what I see, it's always about making sure, one, that the funding is there, and two, that people know about the program. So we'd have to really do an intensive deep dive into community to create awareness around it.
I've seen some hands, but just hold your question for a second. I want to just ask, and if anybody else has questions, I'm going to give you that opportunity to ask as well, because I've come up with an agenda, but these may not be the questions that you all have. So I want to make sure that you get a chance to ask your own. I do want to talk about access to healthcare. We celebrate a new hospital, a brand new hospital in Ward 8. Of course, we don't know what impact that's actually going to have on the quality of healthcare, particularly that seniors have. So, Mr. Adofo, I want to start with you. What is in your plan to ensure that we have high quality healthcare, including mental health supports for the residents, the senior residents of Ward 8?
So I don't think that we start and stop just at the hospital. And so with that being said, I still think it's important for us to continue to do the outreach and partner with organizations such as AARP to see where our seniors are at in terms of the status of their health. I think that the aspect of mental health in our community, even still in 2025, still has a stigma on it. So I work with the hospital. So that means working with our schools, working with just other community-based organizations, our churches as well, because we know that's where a lot of our senior population is. And to continue to just keep doing the outreach and making people become more comfortable. I think that in terms of what we see with the hospital and where it's at right now, from what I hear, that there's still some room for improvement, even though there's a new hospital, in terms of engagement with the community. And so then we have to make sure that the community engagement is also improved as well.
It is looking at process improvement continually with something like this that's so important. Our lives are important and our health is important. And so having access to health and wellness is very important, but also unified. We have to take care of ourselves. That's one of the things that I've taught during our sessions. We do group sessions. We do one-on-one sessions where use food as your medicine is very important. I've seen improvement. Diabetes is very devastating, debilitating in our community. So we need unity in the community. We need to come together and work on our health also ourselves and speak up if something is not wrong so that we'll know to take it forward and resolve it. It has to continually be resolved. When we're talking about health and wellness and living a long, healthy life, it's important that we continually stay on top of it. Not just one person, this person or that healthcare center, but everybody's all hands in.
Ms. Bunn?
Yes, we have a brand new hospital. That is an amazing and wonderful thing for Ward 8. For the first time in 8 years, women east of the river are able to deliver their children right here in our community. But it does not stop there. The hospital is still working on making sure that it has the right amount of staff for the hospital, but coming soon, the hospital will also open its medical office building portion. And that's going to be an important part so that you can see your doctors for regular visits right here in your community. If you're with GW, you won't have to travel to GW to see your primary care physician. So we need to make sure that those doctors' offices are right here in Ward 8. Secondly, making sure that we have other qualified healthcare centers. We have Unity Healthcare, we have Community of Hope. We want to make sure that our residents are using those facilities, that we have primary care physicians for regular appointments, so we're not using our emergency rooms. And in terms of healthcare, it's also about making sure that we have access to fresh and healthy foods. So making sure that we are expanding programs like Martha's Table, Good Food at Home, which is a partnership with Instacart, where your food is delivered directly to you. The membership is waived for a period of time, and you're given a certain amount of money to order from Instacart. Making sure that we have more farmers markets right here in our community, bringing fresh food. Making sure that we're utilizing and have Arcadia Mobile Market, who brings food into our neighborhoods in Ward 8. Expanding the Capital Food Area Bank's Seniors Brown Bag Program. Food as medicine is a part of our healthcare ecosystem so that we can combat the disparities in Ward 8, like cancer and diabetes, things of that nature. So those are some of the things that I would look at in terms of making sure that we have healthcare care. And one last thing, making sure that you are aware of the services that are provided by your managed care organization. If you're with MedStar or AmeriHealth or AmeriGroup, making sure that you are utilizing those services and you are aware of what those services are.
Mr. Austin?
Ward 8 is in a healthcare crisis, and we have to solve that challenge. For those of you that don't know, I worked at United Medical Center for the last 8 years or so. I was one of the attorneys there, and I solved a lot of the regulatory challenges that we had. I started there when they were having a bunch of issues. They were on the front page of the Post, and we had to fire a lot of folks and roll some heads and work with our doctors, but we were able to close out hospital safely. And I'm grateful that it served a purpose. It served its community need, and I know, we needed a new hospital, but that one served its purpose for the time being. So I am grateful that we have a new hospital here east of the river. Cedar Hill will serve a fantastic purpose for us and help to solve the challenges. But the services don't go far enough, and a hospital by itself will not do enough to fix our healthcare crisis. We still have a life expectancy on this side that's 30 years less than those west of the river. And so we need more access to specialty care. When I worked at the hospital at UMC, I would ask the doctors why they didn't open private practices. And many of them said it was too hard to open a practice in DC. It's very difficult, too much red tape to cut. They wanted to. So for me, I have glaucoma. And to my understanding, there's only one ophthalmologist here on this side of the river. We need more access to ophthalmology, more access to OBGYN care, more access to renal care, and all podiatry, you name it. We need to make it easier for these physicians to open up on this side of the river. So you don't have to go up to Georgetown or go up to Washington Hospital Center or down to Virginia or down 210. You should be able to access those services here. And so I want to make sure that we have equal access and that the hospital, when the office buildings open up, have specialty care practices in them. That it's not just some, fly-by-night services, but the same doctors who want to open up here are able to open up here and open their practices.
All right, thank you. I'm going to come to the audience for a few to get some questions. So I'm going to start with this gentleman. If you could just identify yourself, give us your name and your...
And Lyndon, and I'm actually living in Ward 8, and I have a question for one of the occasions y'all spoke on. And that's when you come to a home or come to a place that a person has called about a problem, called about a place that's not adequate, called about a place that they need to report, and you come there, you want to help the person, and route to help the person. What happens if the person gets released by the person where they stand at? What do y'all do then? Let me say it again. Let me say it again so you understand. If someone complains about what they stand at, y'all give them help and have somebody come there to fix the problem, to make sure the place is up to date or running correctly. What happens when the individual made explain or who wanted a better place to live because it was brain down, something wrong with the place? What happens when that person who claims following y'all coming there get evicted for letting you all know that something was wrong?
I'm not, do you all understand the question? Because what I'm not clear on is, let's say I live in a place that's in bad shape. You call somebody to come to help me with my place. They come. Are you saying I got evicted or you got evicted?
Person lived in, and they complain about the owner's place.
I got you. Okay. Right. Right. So I understand. I think, do you all understand the question? Yes. When landlords, for example, it's the issue of a landlord is someone who owns a property, is a person that's living in that property, and as a consequence, rather than fixing the property, they evict the tenant. What would you all do to address that?
So first and foremost, there are several legal remedies that I would employ. First and foremost, connecting the resident with the Office of the Tenant Advocate, because being evicted because you made a complaint is illegal. So working with the Office of the Tenant Advocate, one, to help you find housing, and then also with the Attorney General's office and the Office of Human Rights. So taking those legal rights, because you shouldn't be kicked out because you're making a complaint that you're living in unsafe housing. And so first and foremost, working to help you get new housing, but at the same time, making sure that we're taking legal remedies to undo that injustice to you. So our office would work directly with you to make sure that we find you housing, as well as working with the Office of the Attorney General and the Office of Tenant Advocate to fight that eviction, that illegal eviction.
Mr. Adofo, did you have a response as well?
Yes, in addition to reaching out to those agencies, I'd want to connect you with your own attorney, because the Attorney General's office won't be able to represent you. So you would definitely need your own attorney as well in that space. I'm gonna be honest, I can't tell you where to go, but we can try to help you find a place.
Probably with y'all, probably will have to be individual. They live there.
Yes, sir.
Because of it, y'all asked us to let them know what's going on. What happens when we let them know what's going on? And the conflict.
Well, I think also, and I'm not trying to answer the question, but there is a process for eviction.
Right.
So that would not happen.
You just can't be put out. I would encourage you to not leave. Right.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. You don't leave like that. We fight together. It's a fight because you can't be put out on the street. I've been seeing too many people put on the street, and it's got to stop. No, we need to talk to him and get others involved in it. The housing authority, everybody that needs to come on place needs to come and fight for you. Because if they do it to you, they're going to do it to everybody else. And the same one will do it.
Okay,
it's getting sad.
Let me get Mr. Austin in on this as well. Clearly, there's something happening that folks know about, that the council member needs to know about to address. So now that it's being presented, Mr. Austin?
Yeah, I would just, I know a lot of people have said stuff, but if you're facing a retaliatory eviction for filing claims for housing conditions, you should absolutely talk to the tenant advocate. And I'll talk to you after. I'm taking a few housing cases in my law firm, and so I'll be happy to talk to you about this. Separate from all this, but I'll be happy to talk to you about that as well.
All right, thank you. And thanks for that question. Anybody else have a question? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I'm concerned about the assisted living place down on Livingston Road. We seniors here at Congress Heights advocated for that center, and that's how we got it down there. But then DC, it was supposed to be for independent living as well as assisted living. But DC government takes over everything. They took over that, so you only have the assisted living people there. And you can go down there right now. I have a cousin down there. It smells down there. The people are all in the hall and everything. But you say you want us to live in a healthy and friendly environment. But this is what we want to do. A lot of us are not, we still don't have to go to assisted living. But why can't they have independent living like we had? This is what we advocate, but we don't have it. So, I mean, how can you go to DC government? This is where you have to go to and housing as well. because they both corrupt. And they write together, really, I'm serious. And what can you do, what can you say to district government so that they will just stop them the confusion? Because they have a lot, they're doing a lot.
And I hear two things here. I hear one, there was a desire for independent living places in Ward 8. And two, in cases where there's assisted living, there's not enough oversight by the government or the council member to ensure that the quality of life remains high, right? So there are two issues. Mr. Austin, you got any response to that? As a council member, what would you do to ensure that these two issues are addressed?
First, for the quality of the facility, as councilman, we'll start going through our quarterly rounds. And so we'll make sure that we sit down and we're meeting with the residents, but not with the staff and the leadership, but actually talk to the residents. But they know they have a voice. That's something we'll continue throughout our tenure at the council. Because without the information, we won't ever know. And I can't, just rely on, you to just tell me, but I want to come to you and talk to you all one-on-one and without leadership, so that we're able to have an open, honest conversation about the state of the facility. Because I've spent a little bit of time down there, and I've seen folks sitting out front. They're smoking, they're loud. Heard there's instances of some drugs going on. So we have to make sure that we are providing proper oversight, and as the council member, we're using the power of the office and to call hearings as needed to hold the government accountable, and the Department of Aging, make sure they're doing their proper oversight as well. And then finally, say it again. Yes, and so in those instances, we can find the facility, we can hold penalties against the government for not providing safe and stable housing, and also for running a negligent facility to the extent that it rises to the level of negligence. And finally, I would say that our seniors don't all need assisted living, and so many want independent living as they age in place, as we talked about a lot today. So to make sure that we are providing actual independent living facilities. And if it was intended to be independent, then we should probably get it back to that place, or see if we can get another one in production. And as Ms. Bunn stated, maybe the old UMC site might be a good option to put up a new facility there.
Mr. Adofo, any response?
So I want to make sure I understand it correctly. It's the level of cleanliness in the facility? Was that the question?
That was one question.
Okay.
I said that.
The issues of the building.
The issue is that we seniors here advocate for that center down, the assisted living center.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was supposed to be for independent living as well as assisted living, where you can use your key and go out, you're confident to do that. But it didn't happen like that. DC government took it over. This is what I'm saying. They took it over. And then it's only for people that are almost ready to leave here. Really, they don't care. I'm serious. They don't. I have a cousin down, and when I went down there to apply with her, she didn't want to go. Her daughter and I took her down there, and I filled out an application too. So she was, but she needed to be there. Somebody but I filled out the application. They wanted to take all of my money, and I wasn't ready to die right then. It's not funny. It was the point that they were going to take all my money and then give me nothing. See what I'm saying? But and that she's an assisted living, and the DC government took it over. They didn't have independent living. They just scratched that off the book. And Mayor Bowser was down there and cut that ribbon, and it was supposed to be for independent living, and they went against her as well.
And then the second question is the maintenance of the.
Yes, not clean.
Well, with the maintenance, making sure that we get the right agencies to come in there and make sure that happens, and to hold the property owners accountable to that. In terms of independent versus assisted versus something else. I think that's why we need to make sure that we do have the right leadership in the ward, so that when these projects are being built, that there's someone there that can be the voice of reason and advocate for what was proposed and making sure that that's delivered. And it seems as though we just don't have folks who have been that attentive to the small little details that happen here in our ward. To me, I want to make sure that we're there when those things are being built, from conception into execution to the first person walking into the building. That we have to make sure that the promise is kept for what something was promised, that is actually delivered.
Ms. Bunn?
Thank you for raising that issue. I've spent some time at Livingston Place, and not what I'm going to do, but what I have done. We met with residents, and I've elevated those concerns to DACO as well as to the chairman's office. Though we may not have a Ward 8 representative, there is still staff working on behalf of Ward 8. So we've had meetings with them and elevated those concerns, and we plan to go back to follow up to make sure that the maintenance and the living conditions are addressed. In terms of the independent living, as I mentioned earlier, a possible location for something like that would be the United Medical Center, looking at that development, possibly a mixed-use development where we can have the independent living that our seniors want in their very community. So I agree with you that we do need more of that, and UMC is a possible location. And as the next Ward 8 council member, it will be my responsibility, one, to make sure that we do have oversight over the Department of Aging and Community Living, to make sure that the maintenance or whatever other issues there are with our senior facilities is taken care of. We will have staff on the ground meeting with residents and with staff to get a handle on what the issues are, so that we can resolve those issues as best possible.
Ms. Roach, do you have a?
I agree with what was said. The accountability is very important. Also, I believe in the power of the pen, and I believe in, I'm out of the Army. I worked in hospitals. I've always took it forward. You can't just, if they're not listening, then you need to take it to a higher level.
But you will be the higher level, Ms. Roach. You will be the council member.
I will be the council member,
but
but there's people that's outside that will be able to come in and say, wait a minute, this is not done right, using the policy and the procedures and putting more important policies and procedures in place, but also going up the chain of command. I don't care how far I have to go to say, wait a minute, y'all are not listening, you're not hearing, our people are suffering, and they should not be suffering anymore.
Thank you very much. Yes.
In reference to question, since we don't have representation on the council, some decisions have been made by the council that would incumbent us as residents of Ward 8. They've decided to give a whole lot of money to renovating RFK Stadium. They've decided to change the requirements for the DC Medicaid program. Those things are going to impact us as residents. So what is your take on how we should feel, or what you can do about the fact that those decisions were made absent us having representation, some say in it?
Well, as it stands right now, as far as RFK goes, that decision has not been made, and we still have an opportunity to weigh in on that. So I think it will be important for us as a community to continue to still have that discussion to see what we would like to see in terms of FY26's budget, as well as the capital budget for the next 5 years. And in terms of Medicaid, this is where we're going to really have to buckle down as a community and start to look at the other opportunities that we have for healthcare in the community. And that's where working with some of our other nonprofit institutions, as well as some of our other healthcare providers, to come in and try to help close those gaps in the community, whether it's making sure that we come here to the wellness center to do medical checkups, healthcare checkups with other partnering organizations like Black Nurses Association, for example, are things that we'll have to be able to do in the community.
Yes, I agree. We need to work together. Basically, pull our resources together, every resource that we can get our hands on. to improve our health. And if it's not improved to that point, if we're not satisfied, then we go up to higher levels. I know chain of command is very important.
As was previously mentioned, the RK bill is not a done deal. The council has started its own independent review of the proposal, and there's quite possibly some cost savings that could be found once that independent review is done. So it's not done yet. And then also, we as a community have until June 17th to testify before the council about this FY26 budget. So I am informed by seasoned seniors to sign up to testify. You don't have to go down to the Wilson building, though I know some of you do. Ms. Smith, she's not here anymore, but I know she goes down regularly. But you still have time. June 17th is the last budget hearing. And then on the 18th, the entire council will consider testimony on this FY26 budget. So if you have issues and concerns and priorities, let's take that to the council and voice it. If you need help, as I've done throughout this campaign even before, I am here to assist residents who want to testify on the budget. And then, what was your other question? What was the second part? You said RFK.
Oh, Medicaid.
Medicaid, yes. Yes, unfortunately, the fact that Congress is holding hostage 1.1 billion of our dollars, and our CFO has said over the next 4 years, the district will lose an additional $1 billion. The mayor was forced to make some cuts, and unfortunately, those changes, some of those changes have been to Medicaid. So we will have to look to see what partners outside of the district government can rely on to shore up those 25,000 residents who might get kicked off of Medicaid. But again, it's not over yet. The council has not voted on that budget, so there's still time for us to make our voices heard. And if those Medicaid cuts are most concerned to us, we need to let the council know before they vote on the FY26 budget.
I'll be brief because I agree with most of what everyone said. I'll just add that the RFK Stadium is capital dollars. And so the money is separate, and so that have that move forward. And the timing looks short. Those are capital funds, so that it's a separate pool of money. And then but I do think we need steep investment in Ward 8 and Ward 7 to make sure that we have strong project labor agreements for our workforce and set asides for our unemployment to address that, so that we're bringing in Ward 7 and 8 residents at the forefront and having them trained now. And then, because we have until 2030 until that project may start. I saw the news this morning that they're having some serious issues, and the Ward 7 council member is having to fight because they're potentially trying to cut the deal completely. So I saw that this morning on my way here. So we need to figure that out so we have a strong agreement in place for small business growth and Ward 8 participation. And finally, to your second question about Medicaid, we have to really fight. And that is going to be a challenge because, our Medicaid dollars for so many of our projects for, medical care, home care, and so many other services that our people need. So that will be a fight that we have to undertake. And it's unfortunate that we don't have a councilman right now so that we can, fight and legislate on behalf of Ward 8. But right now, I think we may get in time. If somebody's elected in time, July 15th, for that second budget, we'll have representation before the final close, for the final budget is confirmed.
Before you sit down, Mr. Austin, I want to ask because you all have said that, there's going to be a vote on the budget, and you've recommended that folks testify. How many of you all in this room have actually seen or read the budget? Okay, we've got a few hands. Mr. Austin, if you could tell us that any red flags, if people were to testify, what would you think as it relates to seniors is in that budget that's either good or bad? And I'd like each one of you all to answer that question.
Good or bad? So the budget is, let me start here.
Give me one thing, that's all. I don't need to, but give me one thing that's either a red flag that you've read that would oppose if you were on the council, or you would try to change, or you think it's good. that it relates to seniors?
I think there was a $30 million increase in the MPP budget. I think we need to reallocate some of those funds for the east of the river to fund our second district department a little more. There also was a police housing unit for horses. I think that is a useful space of money, and with all of our issues we have going on, that 30 million should be reallocated on this side of the river.
So there were several good things in the budget for Ward 8. We asked for a senior wellness center, an additional senior wellness center that's in the budget. Several of our schools are up for modernization. So some good things in the budget for Ward 8 and for the city. Particularly that bothered me again are the cuts to Medicaid. 25,000 of our residents could possibly lose Medicare coverage. There are changes to SNAP benefit requirements. There are changes to TANF. Going forward, there are changes to our pay equity fund. Changes to in the child tax care credit has been wiped out. That can possibly affect some of our seniors who take care of their grandchildren. So there are a number of things in this budget that we need to be on the lookout in terms of how it affects Ward 8, how it affects our seniors, our educators, our students. So again, imploring our residents to sign up to testify. If you need assistance, I'm here to help. But we absolutely need to make our voices heard. Not an easy decision, I think, for the mayor to make some of these cuts because of the position that the district was placed in budgetarily. But we need to make our voices heard in terms of what is important to us to try to push back on some of those cuts and figure out where we can shore up some funding.
Ms. Roach, did you raise your hand? Have you read the budget?
I did. It's been a while, so I remember some of it. One of the big things that I do look at is education is very important to me. Educating our children. I've been on getting scholarships. I've made almost $1 million in scholarships. One of the things with the education, I think it needs to be more, especially when you come to the schools and you're finding out that the children are sitting there, well, for one, I want to name the school, they got construction on one side of the school. They have not thought about the gun violence that is running rampant, that we have to take our children into the school. So I think that education needs to be higher, and also they're sitting in the school cold. Elementary school children are sitting there cold and trying to learn, and it's very hard. They need the food, they need security.
Thank you, Mr. Adofo.
Yes, so emergency rental assistance has been decreased, as well as give SNAP a raise, and the Housing Production Trust Fund has been decreased by $60 million. So to me, those are big things that are important to a lot of Ward 8 residents, but especially some of our seniors who may be on fixed incomes and need support. So to me, that's where a lot of advocacy needs to be done. So as someone who works with United Planet Organization, UPO, I work with some of the folks in this room to make sure that we can still continue to advocate for some of those things to be in the budget.
All right, thank you. You have a question?
My name is Bunn, and I've been teaching chess here at the Senior Center since 2018. I've been teaching chess in DC for 30 years. In July of 2022, U.S. Chess Federation generated a report that said the District of Columbia has been kept out of the educational, social, and economic benefits of the game of chess for more than 30 years. Most people don't know that their grandchildren could win a full scholarship to the University of Maryland in Baltimore County just by winning 3.5 or 4 games of chess. There are several organizations locally that are making millions. There was an April 25th article in the Washington Business Journal speaking about Silver Knights of Fairfax County, for-profit chess organization that made $4.3 million last year. But the thing is, the benefits of the game have been kept out of DC. Our seniors can benefit, which is one of the reasons why I teach it, because it's been proven to help delay the onset of dementia. We've been conducting intergenerational activities with Ballou High School, where we have the chess team from Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center over to Ballou. But the children and most of the people have no access to those resources that the District of Columbia is spending to conduct tournaments or championship tournaments for children. And when you mix the question is, what would you all do to promote and provide equity and fairness in the sport, the business of chess in the District of Columbia, as the District of Columbia has been kept out of opportunities for over 30 years?
Any response? And maybe if we even expanded that to any other programs. I know that you all are in the schools. You don't have direct oversight of the schools, but you know, I think that I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, where there are other opportunities that could be available. We have a soccer field that's never been used for soccer, right? Programs are not coming into the community, and our young people are not getting access to a lot of programs, or seniors. So do you have any creative ideas as a legislator, which is what you will be, that might address some of these inadequacies that our community faces?
Yeah, so I think this is an opportunity to have chess added as a sport in our high schools, mainly because some of the things that you said, but I know that as someone who learned to play chess, you're learning to think critically. And I think that could be a way to help to develop some of our young people's critical thinking skills, as well as getting in part of some of the activities that DPR could have in a possible way to put money in the budget for DPR to fund chess tournaments in the city as well.
Everyone doesn't have to answer the question, only if you have an answer.
I believe that it should be pushed, especially since we've been put out of it. We have not had access to chess and even golf, different areas that they are sports and different activities. I think our children need to be exposed to so that they can make good decisions and run critical thinking. And it's very important. It's been used for others. Why not we get it? We're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need it because you don't know where our children will go. We give them so many tools and help them move with them.
I don't have a legislative fix to it, but I would like to have a conversation with you to figure out what roadblocks you run into in terms of implementing your program, because oftentimes it's about making connections to people and with people. So I want to have a conversation with you around those roadblocks, because I absolutely agree that chess, not only is it about strategic thinking, but as AB said, it is something that our young people can use for scholarships. And why not make it a part of our rec centers, and also making sure that you are on the new lottery for out of school time programming. Parents in the city have done a great job of creating this lottery with information around all of the after school and before school time programming. So making sure that you are a part of that. We definitely want to have a conversation to see how you can get connected to make sure that your program is happening in our schools and in our rec centers.
I'll be quick. I think our young people and our seniors definitely need diverse options. And so having a connection to a strong chess club and chess program would be helpful for our young people to, you may not, we have to diversify our options to make sure that they have access to that information. Many of them have not been exposed, so they don't know. And so I would definitely want to work with you to figure out how we, work with DPR, so it's in our rec centers, but also that we're bringing it into the schools as well. Maybe just beyond just a club, but this leading to a real opportunity and a full scholarship needs to be, a sport, so that they can spend more time with it and have it dedicated to something they can use as a pathway to college.
Good afternoon. Presence and involvement is very important, and I'm sure a lot of the other seniors. This question is directed to anybody else who wants to answer to Mr. Austin and Ms. Roach. Perhaps I've been listening. I know I see the other candidates everywhere I go, and all the meetings share what they've done. But can you tell us what you have done for Ward 8 and what you are most proud of that you've done. I haven't seen either one of the meetings that I've been going to. So introduce yourself and let us know what you've done for Ward.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I think we talked about this the other day, and you asked me that, so I'm glad you want to ask it. As you know, I've been an ANC commissioner. I was the ANC chair of AT before Mr. Adofo. I've served on 3 boards in Ward 8. Actually, 2 I served on with Mr. Bunn and Mr. Adofo. I'm on the board of Far Southeast Collaborative. I'm on the board of United Planning Organization, and I'm on the board of CC Prep, an adult charter school here in Ward 8. So I've been doing that work for the last 3 years or so. And before that, I was an ANC commissioner. Before that, I was the legislative director for the Ruby Bay. And so I wrote a policy on behalf of Ward 8. And before that, after that, I worked at United Medical Center. I spent a lot of time with the Ward 8 families as they come into UMC as the primary hospital. So we stabilized operations. I put in about 80 hours a week at UMC because it was a mess. And so I'm glad we were able to stabilize it and close the hospital effective. And finally, I also served in the government as the deputy mayor, legislative director, economic opportunity. There, we worked on a lot of initiatives. One being the Department of Employment Services, Department of Small Local Business Development, and also the Commission on Fathers and Boys. So I've dedicated my career to Ward 8 and worked on behalf of Ward 8 for a good number of years. Also, I moved from Malcolm X Avenue onto Alabama Avenue. I'm raising my 2-year-old daughter there. And, I've also spent a lot of time with young men and that I've tried to work with. And I just don't do a fantastic job of publicizing everything and put it all on social media. But I work on behalf of Ward 8 tirelessly and will continue to do so whether or not I want to see it or not.
Yes, so I'm glad you asked. Basically, I've done food. I started out here 20 years and 3 months ago, almost 3 months ago, giving out food because at the Wingate and Garden Apartment, where I was told nobody was feeding the children. So my husband and I, he's retired Army. I've only done 8 years in the Army. And so I brought my experience with that and working with children. I've seen grades be, I work with children. I love children. They're my heart. In fact, they say I'm like a child. I have 77 children at the Bald Eagle Recreation Center that I have taught and love on. And when I'm with them on the monkey bars or the swings, they say, she's out there somewhere, but she's one of the children. And I become like them because I see that that's the best way to educate them. I've seen hyperactive children that I sat down with them, played with them, and got them to get their grades up from making C's and D's. I've helped with different children, basically. I came here to feed the children when nobody said they weren't feeding the children in the Wingate, and we expanded. I stayed because I saw that there was a need. I saw that I pray a lot. I seek the Lord, and some of them come to me, and they don't even want some of the food. They want to come and just let me love on them and help them to move into greater success. Maybe they're homeless. We have our organization is called the JJ Center, but really, a lawyer asked me, what do you want to do? I said, I want to feed my Ward 8 community. I want to feed them. I want to clothe them. If they need houses. She said, I hear Jehovah Jireh. I said, you hear what? She said, Jehovah Jireh, go home and read your Bible. I got on my knees and read my Bible and heard that that's what God wants. I said, it's going to be hard. So, but we came to help out the community.
Thank you. I would just say, to answer your question, and not to give the other candidates a chance, but they basically all stated what they've been doing and what they have done for Ward 8 in their opening statements. And unless someone specifically wants to respond to that, I'm pretty sure they will do the same thing as they close. So does someone else want to respond to that right now? Okay. So we'll take one more question from the floor, and then we're going to
this is not a question.
Okay.
This is just an observation that I've made in going around. We're talking about being professional, running for a professional office, and I've seen things that are disheartening as far as the race is concerned. People are vandalizing other people's signs.
Yeah.
They're having to get up and move their sign somewhere else because of the vandalism. And then when they move their sign, I noticed another candidate will move their sign and try to overtake. And I think it shows young people and show a
That's right.
whatever. I can't get it out. And on board 8. And it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Where it's coming from and who's doing it. So you all need to talk to your people and tell them to stop. It's not showing a good light.
So,
okay?
so I appreciate that, and I would say that as one who was tangentially involved with politics for many years. As you all know, my stepmother served on the city council for 16 years. All I can say is welcome to Ward 8 politics. This has gone on forever. I agree. But I think you raised a good question as it relates to the respect that we hope to have for the ward and for its leadership. There's some issues that have been raised that are citywide about our ward. You know, we've always been treated as the last, the least, and the whatever. As a council member, assuming that you will win, what will you do, or how, have you thought about it? What will you do to bring integrity and respect, not only to you, but to the office and to the residents of Ward 8? How important is that to you? Mr. Austin, since you're right here, I'm gonna start with you.
I'll get to your question in 1 second. I also want to state that I'll put a statement out because I don't stand for anybody, defacing signs. And I know how much they cost. I spent a good portion of my budget, but also I have integrity and don't believe that anybody should have their signs or anything removed. I've had a lot of mine removed, and speaking from a place of having to replace those, and it is unfortunate. But the spray painting there is something that I feel bad for Ms. Bunn and Mr. Adofo. And I've had my face cut up and my posters torn down, so I'm tired of that. So it has to stop, truly. To bring integrity back to the office, we need to start setting the example. And setting that example means talking to our people, being transparent, being honest, but also making sure that we are leading by example, and making sure that they know that we have to bring respect back to the Ward 8 office. There was a time before we've had these recent events that the Ward 8 council seat was well respected. And we have to get back to that place so that we're respected on the council, and also that we are respected, locally. Our people have been disenfranchised for long enough, and they have already lost respect for the council seat and what the council can do. So with all these allegations and, things are still pending in the criminal court, we have to make sure that we bring respect and integrity back to the Wilson building, but especially the Ward 8 seat.
The answer is yes. It is very important that this role, the council member that represents not just myself, you, my child, is credible, ethical, and knowledgeable. I want us, wherever we are in this city, to be respected. And it starts by changing the narrative of Ward 8. We are a resilient and vibrant and thriving community. Yes, we have some issues, but so does every other ward in this city. This is not talked about. Right. We have some amazing people. We have a diverse community, seniors, professionals, blue-collar workers. We have it all over here. That's right. But it starts with us having that conversation and talking about that. And when I'm elected as your next council member, you will not have to worry about any ethical lapses. Right. My father taught me you only have two things in this world: your name and your word. And I will not sully that for anyone. I have a 15-year-old daughter looking at me. I'm a single mom raising my 15-year-old daughter in this community. I have my elders in this community looking at me, and I expect you to hold me accountable for the things that I say I'm going to do. I take my notes when I say something because I know you're watching and you are going to hold me accountable. And I am going to be the type of leader that works collaboratively with you. I don't have all the answers, but I need you to help me, to help us rise together. That is what my father, James Bunn, taught me. If you all rise, we rise together. And that's what we will work to do to make sure that the narrative in Ward 8 is changed, that people understand we're not last, we're not the least, we're not left behind, because we're going to work together to change that narrative and move Ward 8 forward and demand the respect that we deserve.
That was beautiful. Praise God. I believe my integrity and my accountability. I've raised my kids. One of them is a surgeon. One is going to law school, and my son out of Iraq and Afghanistan is going. Well, he's saying he is going to college to become a psychiatrist. So I believe in education. I put my children in it. I will work with children. I will work with everybody, anyone. Even if I believe it, I'm going to become the council member, but if not, I will support anybody here because it's important that we unite as a people, as a family. We are one. And as long as we're one, we're all going to care about if somebody's put out their house or, our children are not picking up and going to school. Because once they go to school, I'm looking and I see a vision where our seniors are helped across the street instead of hit and pushed in violence. And our children are coming back and doing it because they're proud of what the success they had, because we built it from the village.
Mr. Dalton. I believe that we have a dual role as a council member in this ward. Of course, it's policies, legislation, it's budget, it's oversight, it's those things. But we also need somebody who can be an inspiration for our young people in this community, somebody who can connect the dots. And when we think about respect, when we think about the integrity of the office, it's going to have to start with the leadership and then be an example for those, right? We know that many of our issues start at home. What are we doing to support the families at home? When I walk down the street, I see a beautiful community that sometimes people take advantage of. I shouldn't come down MLK Avenue and see a toilet bowl dumped out on the street. I shouldn't see trash left around Wayne Place. What am I doing to instill a sense of pride into some of the young people in the community that make them want to be proud to be a part of Ward 8? What am I doing to make sure that this is a destination place that people say, hey, I want to come and hang out in Ward 8 because it has Care First Arena, it has Sycamore Note, or the Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center is the greatest one to come to. So it has to start with me being an example in this community and then bringing up some young brothers. We got to get some of our young brothers to understand that we have to be the examples in our community, that we have to be the safety and the security of our community. And like I said, I think that starts with me being that example. And what is my office doing to instill a sense of pride, giving folks I am proud that person is my council member? Are we answering the phone on time? Are we responding to emails, responding to phone calls, right? Respect isn't given, it's earned. And so the people on our team have to come out and earn the respect. So that starts with me and the leadership that we bring on as a team.
All right, thank you.
All right, so that wasn't their closing remark, but I'm gonna ask them to do it because I'm sure that they are prepared for that. I thought I was gonna have to leave at 1, but I enjoyed your questions. There are many more that we need to talk about, which we won't today, including transportation, and it sounds like somebody's beating a drum somewhere.
That thing, Frank.
I don't know. And whoever is, again, I'm going to ask one more time if you can mute yourself so we can hear these closing remarks. Anybody that's listening, please mute yourself because we can hear you on this end. Thank you. Does someone have it?
It's a bus question. It's a bus
I don't think we can do that.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does anybody online have a question? We're listening. Does anyone online have a question? If so, unmute yourself. Not so that we can get a drums, but yeah, if you have a question. Yeah. Okay, so with that, we will begin with our closing statements. Mr. Adofo, I'm going to start with that end.
One, thank you for sitting here and listening to us. I know sometimes some of these things can go long, but I'll pick up where I left off talking about the integrity of the office and what we want to see. We want to be responsive. When I talk to a lot of seniors, the things that I get is that we want the city services in this ward to be like they are in other places. So that's something that I will make sure that I'm committed to, making sure that we can keep our ward clean, making sure that our leaves can get picked up, that the trash can get picked up, that our roads can get repaid. I don't believe that the little things are just the little things. I believe that the little things make up the bigger picture. And that's something that I've committed myself to day in and day out. And as a council member having more power and authority, then we can make sure that these things aren't things that we see in our ward. I want to be someone who can be responsive to you all so that when you call and you need constituent services taken care of, that I'm that person. It's not a chance to get out all of the information, but my name is Salim Adofo. You can go to salimforward8.com and you can find some more information. Like I said, I've spent over 5 years in the Army working for Homeland Security. I've been a commissioner, so I have 20 years of experience, plus working in nonprofit and in government, and I will be ready to be your council member come July 15th. Thank
you. Again, my name is Mary Roach. I'm a doctor of pharmacy. I love our community. I love our Ward 8. We're beautiful, we're powerful, we're resilient, even though we have had unfair treatment. Well, I will fight for Ward 8 to improve everything. I mean, continually. I'm here to serve as a council member. And this is my chief